Welcome, bienvenidos. I'm John Reichenauer, and on behalf of the entire Eternal Anchor family, I want to thank you for spending a portion of your evening with us. While many people follow us on social media, nothing beats hearing directly from the folks who keep Eternal Anchor running day in and day out. In just a bit, I'll be joined by Deborah Garcia, who's going to share some exciting news about Eternal Anchor's residential program, give us an update on the Mobility Equipment Workshop, and then we'll visit with Aaron Weston, who will be spending some time talking to us about our annual Love Extended program. But before we get started, I want to take just a moment to remind everyone that if you want to get all the latest news from Eternal Anchor and keep up with the great things happening at the school and homes, workshop, and ranch, along with seeing lots of great photos of the kids and the adults, you can follow us on social media, on Facebook and YouTube and on Instagram. And now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Deborah Garcia.
Woohoo!
Hi, Deborah.
Hi, everyone.
It's great to see you.
Good to see you too, John.
What can you tell us about what's going on?
So a lot of exciting things are happening right now in the home. A few weeks back, I went back to the shelter in Tijuana. I think I've spoken a little bit about it, and I know Austin wrote a blog. This shelter in Tijuana has the capacity for 150 children, and the shelters are where the police have to send children whenever they're picked up on the streets, if there's any sort of CPS call, Child Protective Services in the cities of Tijuana, Rosarito, and Tecate. They all send their children first to this shelter. Now, this shelter, like I said, only has capacity for 150, but they always have over 300. I have visited there at least 4 times, and each time I've gone, it's above 360, the number that they have on a daily basis. So when I go to this shelter, honestly, my heart breaks every time I go, but I'm glad that we're going because we have to see the need to know how best we can help. This last time I went, we had already decided that we were going to take one child in the next couple of months. So I was checking up on him, and they had told me they had a new boy that had come in. So when I went in there, I just want to share a few stories of the children that I saw. Again, please, every time I talk about these shelters, I always want to explain to people that these are government-run facilities, and the people that run it are amazing people. They really want what's best for the kids. They're doing the best with the limited resources that they have. It is not their fault that the children are in lacking conditions because they aren't given enough money to hire staff and to have what they need to properly care for the kids. The director right now, he's been there for about 6 months, and since he started, he's allowing us to visit whenever we want. We don't even have to write a report because he knows we truly want to help bring kids into our home and also help with the kids that they have while they seek other options for the kids that they have that have disabilities. Currently, we brought 2 with us, Chewy and Aron. These kids, I won't say which one, but just have heartbreaking stories. One of our boys was picked up by the police in a drug home where everybody had been murdered brutally, and he was the only one that was left alive. I don't know exactly how long it was since people were killed between the police getting him and how long he was there on his own. Um, I can't even imagine the trauma that comes from having seen that and having grown up with parents that were battling drug addiction and having a disability that doesn't allow him to speak, walk, use the bathroom on his own. He can't feed himself on his own. So I just can't even imagine what kind of conditions he was living in before he entered the shelter. Unfortunately, at the shelter, they don't have enough staff. So he was sitting in a wheelchair that didn't have the supports that he needed. So they used ropes to tie him to the chair. And because he's so active, he wants to play. He's a kid. He wants to move around, but they can't let him just sit on the ground because other kids will trample him. So they tie him to a bunk bed, and he would play. He would like rock his fingers against the wood to make noise because he needs a lot of sensory input. It was just heartbreaking to see. That's how he was living. That's no life. No child should live like that. And the other boy we have as well, picked out of a drug home. His mother's still alive, but just because of her substance abuse, just is unable to take care of her son. They have tried 4 times. They tried. This last time, he is no longer considered to again for CPS place him in the home. So I'm really glad for that. But imagine the trauma of having to continually go back to a mother that is unable to care for his needs when, again, he can't walk, talk, go to the bathroom on his own. And to have a parent that, when she was high, I'm sure she didn't think about his needs. I just can't even imagine that kind of life. And I'm honored that we get to do this for our own kids, because I love that as Mexicans, we're taking care of our own, and we're not only taking care of our own, but we're bringing them into a village. San Quintin is still kind of a village place. We don't have big medical hospitals. The majority of the people are still people that work in the field, so there's more poverty here. And yet this village or this rural area is becoming a beacon of hope in our state. Now the cities, Tijuana, when they get a child with a disability, they immediately message me and say, hey, I have this child, can you take them? And we're living in a place that's rural where people not long ago still hid their kids with disabilities because they were ashamed, because they thought people are gonna judge me for the sins of my family because I have a child with a disability. And now this same rural area has become a beacon of hope, a place where parents are celebrating their kids. They are proud of their child. They don't see their disability as who their child is. That's just something that their child has to live with. But they can see them beyond a disability, and that's so. It's an honor to be a part of this change in our culture and to be able to portray God in that way in our community. And with all this said, I really want to challenge all of you guys. I'm so grateful because since we made this decision to bring these 2 kids, we also made a decision to bring 3 more in 3 weeks. Because we were going to first, we thought, we're going to do 1 at a month and we're going to take it slowly. But knowing the conditions they're living there, like knowing that the kids, like some of the kids that we're waiting to bring in 3 weeks, they had profanities written all over their clothes that the other kids had written on there, because kids, children are children. They can be bullies, and kids with disabilities are being picked on. There's like 40 children to 2 staff members per wing. And staff are really, truly doing the best that they can, but the need that children with disabilities require is not something that they can meet. And they know this. They are not trying to pretend that they are equipped to take kids with disabilities. And I respect the fact that they're desperately looking for homes that will take their kids with disabilities. So by the end of the month, we are going to have 3 more kids coming. So in 1 month, our home has grown to 5 more kids. We're going to have 13 total. And I'm super grateful for the people that have come together to help us. I know Kelly has been doing a clothing drive, and her church is behind helping us clothe our children, because I was thinking I had enough clothes, but I definitely don't have enough clothes for all the kids that are coming. And I'm just so grateful that this home was built just in time, thanks to Jeannie Ramirez's parents. God brings us all together, and we all have that same passion. We want to see children with disabilities celebrated in our community and in Mexico. And, I want to encourage you to continue partnering with us. We're going through a really hard time with COVID. We can't go to the US. We can't ask for money in churches. We can't meet with you in person, but we're still doing the work. And with more kids in the school, with more kids in the home, now with a shop going on, we need your support desperately. And especially in the home, all of these kids that I'm bringing, Austin and I had said a while back, we're never taking another child that has seizures again. And let me tell you, all 5 of them take seizure medication. So, you can't ever say you're never going to do something, because then you have, we cannot leave them knowing no other home is going to take them for the same reason we had said we wouldn't take them. In the past, we said we can't take more kids with seizures because this hospital is not equipped, and seizure medication is expensive. Neurology is very expensive. But you know what? All of the other homes are saying the same thing, and it reminds us of why we started Eternal Anchor. We started Eternal Anchor because we saw Jesus needing help. Honestly, he could have died, and knowing it's not my responsibility. Somebody else could do it, but nobody else was going to do it either. And we felt like that Good Samaritan moment has come into our lives at least 3 times, where we know we don't have to do it, but we know it's the difference between life and death. And we feel that as Christians, it is our part we have to help people that can't help themselves. So please consider continuing to donate. And if you haven't started donating, honestly, even $10 a month, $15 a month, what you spend on coffee, $5 a week, and that's not real. You guys probably spend $20 on coffee. So we're hurting for money, and we would really like for you to not just continue supporting us, but if you can up your support just a little bit. During this COVID time, we can't go ask for new churches or for new partnerships. And I know you guys do a lot, but I really ask that you come together with us, as we're the village for the kids with disabilities in this area. And right now, all of our expenses are going to maybe triple with as many kids as we have, with all of the medical needs that they require. So join us in being the village and in raising children with disabilities in Mexico in a way that the world goes, how are these kids living with so much life and energy and love? Why? And we can say, because God loved us first, and we love them, and we're just honored to continue doing our life with them. And I'm so excited to see what's going to happen as our homes fill up, and our adult housing is about to get started as well in 2 months. It's exciting. And as always, it's honoring to see that in these hard times, God has continued to provide. We have never lacked anything, nor have we had to say, no, we have to shut the door to a child because we can't afford them. God is good. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Well, Deborah, you made a great point. And I think it was Austin that said in the last newsletter, it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes an international community to raise 13. And you certainly lifted that up. While I've got you, can you just take a moment to tell everybody what's happening out south at the new mobility equipment workshop located at the ranch?
Yes, so we're super excited. We have Erin Cottos with us right now. And she, for those that don't know Erin Cotto, she is a physical therapist that has been working with us for, I want to say, 2 years. And our wheelchair shop, all of the wheelchairs, everything was moved out there a week ago. And we are ready to start operating our brand new wheelchair shop. We're going to be inaugurating May 7th. And we are so grateful because that shop is the first build we've had where a local business has partnered with us in building that. Berry Mex, who does a lot of business with Driscoll's. You guys might have heard of Driscoll's Berries. Anyway, they are a very large berry company here, and they gave us a large amount of money. I think it was 700,000, no, 700,000. I can't say my numbers in English, but it was a lot of money to help with the shop. And we are so excited that we get to be operating out of there. But we're also really thankful to FFHM because they allowed us to run our shop out of their facilities for over a year. And not only could we use stuff there, but they ended up giving us stuff when we moved because we didn't have a lot of shelving. And at the beginning of this shop, I don't know if a lot of you know the story, but I want you to know the story because Austin and I, before we started Eternal Anchor, we used to work at FFHM. And the reason we are so passionate about disability is because we got to work with Dirk and Mary Koss. They're the ones that started the Learning Center for Children with Disabilities at FFHM, and that's where we were teachers. Dirk, he was in charge of the shop, and he started this shop at FFHM many years ago. I honestly don't know how many years ago. And they are now back in Canada, and they're such humble people. They never want to take credit. They always say the credit belongs to God. But God used them, so I give them credit. Austin and I continued Eternal Anchor as their legacy. They don't know it, or they don't like to say that it's true. But the passion that they had for people with disabilities is something that they instilled in us when we were working with them. And just the way that we work with people with disabilities came from Dirk and Mary. And when Dirk and Mary moved to Canada, eventually they asked that FFHM if they would consider giving the shop to Eternal Anchor, and FFHM did. So we're so grateful for the way that we're able to work with other nonprofits in our community, as well as partner with a business to bring mobility equipment to people here in our own area.
Deborah, that's great. We thank you for visiting with us tonight, and we're going to let you get back to the kids now.
All right. It was so good to talk to you, John.
All right. Bye-bye. So, what would happen if you put out a call to physical and occupational therapists, speech therapists, translators, and other professionals from across the U.S. and Canada and asked them to travel to Mexico for 10 days to volunteer their time and talent? We call it Love Extended, and every July, that's exactly what happens. Here's a quick look back at a previous Love Extended. Erin Weston, who, along with Taylor, her husband, and their daughter Evie, spent 2 years volunteering at Eternal Anchor. And Erin is still very much, well, the whole family is still very much a part of the Eternal Anchor family. And Erin's with us tonight to talk about this year's Love Extended program. Erin is a physical therapist and coordinator for the annual Love Extended program. Erin, welcome.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. Happy to be here.
Great. We're glad you're taking some time out of your evening. It seems right now that July is a long way away. But before we know it, another Love Extended is going to be underway. What can you tell us about, give us maybe a little history of Love Extended, and then give us a little sneak peek at what this year's program might look like.
Okay. So, Love Extended is essentially just specialists from US and Canada, physical therapists, OTs, and speech therapists. Then we have special education teachers. We've had doctors, orthotists, translators are a big role, obviously, to play. So, whatever kind of specialist comes that year, we have a trip where we coordinate how to best use their talents in that, week and a half of time. So this year we have lots of PTs, we have an OT, a speech therapist, a special education teacher, and then a lot of translators, which is a huge help because the more translators we have, the more effective the specialists can be in their interventions that they do. And we plan Love Extended all year long. So all year long, we're talking with people on staff at Eternal Anchor, asking them what trainings they are looking for this year, what are the needs that we have, what kind of specialists do we need to specifically look for. With this adaptive equipment shop, we have a big need for physical therapists so that we can fit kids with equipment, so that we can screen, I guess it's hard to screen and prepare and train people to work in that shop as well. So this year we have a lot of maybes up in the air still, but over it's been about, I want to say 7 years, although don't quote me on that, I'm not sure, that typically what we do is we go out in the community and we will do home visits to the families, and we'll provide training to the families, equipment to the families, and then set them up with programming through Eternal Anchor, whether it's a school or horse therapy or further equipment needs. We will set that up for them. But we have been so successful at that essentially most of the families in our area are pretty well taken care of with trainings and equipment, which is a really wonderful issue to run into. So we are now looking at expanding potentially into towns north and south, a little farther away, maybe even go homes and institutions that Deborah mentioned, and seeing how we can help in those spaces. If you can imagine, if you're a kid, this is my biggest takeaway, is that if you're not being able to sit up or talk, then you're essentially laid in a bed your whole life. And so how can you feel like a part of your family, a part of your community, when you're just looking at the ceiling? And so to me, getting a kid in a chair is so life-changing, because all of a sudden you're at eye level, you're seeing the world, you're communicating, you feel like you're a part of it, the difference between laying in a bed or sitting at the table with your family. So any way that we can help kids be a more part of their community, wherever that is. So yes, so we still have a lot of maybes in the air for Love Extended this year, but all good, exciting new things.
And this is a real partnership, isn't it? With both the staff and the teachers at Eternal Anchor, but also with the larger community. It's not just a bunch of Americans and Canadians coming into Vicente Guerrero and telling people this is what you need to do.
Right. We work really, really hard to partner with Eternal Anchor staff and directors specifically and ask them what they need. And on the other side of that, we have specialists, therapists who are gathering equipment and donations all year long. So we're putting together, what do we have? What do we need? How can we meet those needs? And how can we just make it the best use of everyone's time so that the therapy and the intervention provided is effective and helpful, and also within the scope of the specialists that are able to come. Like, for example, I just got off the phone with Deborah, and we talked about how the 5 new kids in the home will absolutely need really individualized therapy plans and programs for how we can support them best in the home. So I'm excited to get in there and, we can do really good work getting them set up with the best therapy possible that they can carry out throughout the year.
And with the mobility equipment workshop, whether it's a wheelchair or a walker or a bucket stander, they can be individually customized for each and every child. Isn't that right?
Yes, and they can be, which is great. We use a combination of donated equipment. So if you can imagine the big specialized wheelchairs and standers, and then if we don't have something that works for a variety of reasons, either we don't have the right size or the right style, or at times the donated equipment is really bulky, and if you live in a small one room home, that's just not practical. So we try to make, so in those situations we would build something from local materials such as buckets, wood, that sort of thing. And just to go a little bit technical here, standers are super important because I won't get too much into the details, but standing is really important for your organs and bones and joints and everything to work properly. So if you can get a kid in equipment to help them stand, you really help prevent a lot of medical complications in the future. So that's why it's another big component of what we do, besides just chairs and walkers and wheelchairs. Now we have standers. Yeah.
And this year's program, July 10th through the 18th, correct?
Yes, July 10th through the 18th. We are pretty full, but if you are listening to this and you just think, oh, I'd love to be a part of that, shoot me an email, or my email is Erin, it's E-R-Y, what is it? I think it's E-Weston at eternalanchor.org, or just message Facebook and I'll get the message. If you really want to be a part of it, let me know. Or if you're just curious and maybe you want to plan for next year, we do it every July. We'd love to have you be a part of it if this is kind of, pulling at your heartstrings a little bit and you want to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Erin, thank you again for taking time away from your family to chat with us. And we'll see you soon, and I look forward to seeing you in July.
Looking forward to seeing you too. Thank you for bearing with me on my first Facebook Live ever. So thank you all for watching in.
You did great. All righty.
See you again soon.
Good night.
Okay, bye.
Well, that's a wrap for tonight's Facebook Live. Thank you for watching, and please remember to like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. On behalf of the Eternal Anchor family, good night, and remember that love is an anchor. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, John.
You did great. All right. Talk to you later.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.